I'm recording. I'm recording. Just so you all know, I am recording.
Hey, what's up? Welcome to the Welsh Text Podcast, episode 8, Lattes Before Load-in. Just in case you're new here, my name is James, and I'm the sound engineer and tour manager for the band While She Sleeps, and I run an Instagram page called Welsh Text, which is a behind-the-scenes look into the jobs, equipment, and stories from the band's touring crew. This podcast is kind of an extension of that, really. In this series called Lattes Before Load-in, we've just been revisiting some shows from the tour that we did back in January, and talk to different crew members and band members about their experience from that tour. So today we're here to talk about the big London show at the O2 Academy Brixton, which is massive. And since the show was so big and chaotic and special to everyone, we decided to do this one a bit different. So we're going to split this episode into different parts. I'm going to talk to a few different people and get multiple perspectives from this show. So we're going to start today with me and my co-host and merchandise master, Lacey, talking through our structure to our days and some stories from us. And then we'll get Ashley Neal, the band's lighting director, to join us, and we'll have a bit more of a detailed chat about the production side of things. So yeah, I'm not going to do my Q&A section this week because the episode is going to be super long already, with it being pretty much a double episode. But we'll probably answer most of the questions that you guys asked this week in the chat, so just listen out. But yeah, quickly, before we start, I just want to say a massive thank you to everyone that donated to the podcast so far. You are all fucking legends. If you want to help out, then just head over to the Instagram page, click that link in the bio, and find the button that says donate, and you just donate via PayPal. But anyways, let's crack on with this episode. Here is Brixton.
Hey, and welcome to episode 8 of the While She Texts podcast. My name's Lacey, and I sell merchandise for the band While She Sleeps. As ever, I'm joined by our front of house / TM / general legend, James Hill.
General legend?
Fucking hell. Yeah, today we're going to talk about the big one, the big show, the BLS.
Big London show.
As it's commonly known. We're going to talk about Brixton. Me and James are going to tell you about our day, and then we're going to get a few mates involved. We may space it over a couple of weeks. We may not. We don't really fucking know yet. But yeah, let's fucking get into it, James. Let's fucking do this. We've spent a long time trying to do this episode, so let's fucking do this.
Yep. London
so
then. The big one.
Nah. Before we start with London, we need to talk about what happened the night before and getting caught on the ferry, because that was a fucking pain in the ass.
Yeah, there's always something, isn't there? So, yeah, we left Amsterdam. When did we leave Amsterdam? 11:30? Midnight?
Yeah, we left fairly early because it was a disco turnaround. They turned into the club, which was beneficial to us. I think you moved the show forward by like half hour, right?
Yeah, I changed the show times to make it a bit earlier because doors are pretty early anyway. So, and I knew that all the bands that were playing needed to get to London. So the earlier we played that show and finished, the better for everyone.
Yeah.
So yeah, finished it a bit early and tried to get out of there as quick as we could. So again, sorry to everyone that was waiting to speak to Lars after the show, but I just had to get him on that bus and get going, really. Because you don't want to miss that ferry and then be very late for your big London show. But yeah, it's like a 4-hour drive from Amsterdam to the ferry port. So yeah. Get on the road, get there as quick as we can. I think we had a ferry booked for 6 a.m. So get there. Normally what happens is you get to the ferry port, you wake up, you get off the bus with your passport, show it to the nice French people, and they let you through. And then you get on the ferry, and you get off at the other end, you get back on the bus and go back to bed. And normally it's as simple as that. But this time, of course, they stopped us up at the trailer and look around for any people trying to sneak over on the crossing. And let the dog have a little sniff around in the trailer. And then they had to check through the bus as well. While we stood there in the cold at 6 a.m.
Yeah.
Or 5 a.m, whatever it was.
Everyone in their fucking pants and stuff.
Yeah. So that was fun. But yeah, then back on the bus, do the ferry crossing, back to bed before the chaos of the London show started, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what time you woke up, but I woke up very early with Ash poking his head in my bunk with a problem. First problem of the day.
It's not nice when someone else gets in your bunk, is it?
Ooh. We'll talk about that situation a bit more when we'll get Ash on this episode at some point. But yeah, that was a fun little wake up call for me.
Yeah, that was a stressful start to your day.
But yeah, did that. Then I was awake. We were still an hour and a half, 2 hours away from Brixton at this point. We would like driving into London. We may be on the M25 by this point. Yeah, get to Brixton quite a bit earlier than we anticipated, to be honest. I thought we were going to be there about 11:30 and we actually turned up there about just past 10 o'clock, I think. So we made great time.
Yeah, I woke up just as we got into London. So, because the classic shitty London roads in a bus is always an interesting combination just to end up throwing around. Up. Yeah.
We arrived at the venue. I think, were you there at the front with me? So I knew that the venue had upgraded the sign on the front. So if anyone's seen Brixton before, you'll notice they have like a big old-fashioned like cinema style sign on the front. And I got an email like 2 days before telling me that the show had sold out and that they'd put sold out on the actual thing at the front. So I was very excited to drive past and see that. I was up front with the driver with my phone out. I think I got a little Instagram story zooming in on that. Content, always good. But yeah, parked up, do the usual, help the driver find the power and where he's parking, do all that crap, get into the venue. First thing in the venue, I guess, is find Siobhan, our amazing promoter rep for the show.
Shout out, tour mom.
Yeah, tour mom. She actually was my tour mom. I did a tour with Siobhan. She was TM in Dodie, so we changed the letters of TM to mean tour mom. Yeah, she is fantastic. I asked for her specifically for these shows. I knew we were working with Killer, so I was like, please can we have Siobhan? Because she is literally the best.
Yeah, I agree with that.
So yeah, go find Siobhan, give her a big cuddle, and she shows me around the venue. I've been here once before, but I wasn't TM on the last time I was here. I was just front house. So do the usual around the venue, picking the dressing rooms. I think at this point, you might have been away, like showing the band where the entrance to the venue was, because we were parked around the corner.
Yeah, so your day kind of started a little bit chaos. I kind of stood back. Me and you have been working together long enough that I know when to get the fuck out of your way. So I kind of I stood back and let you and Ash and Elle kind of do a lot of the work. My work day in quotations, my work day doesn't start until usually around about 5 o'clock in venues this big. So I just kind of stepped back. Let you guys work out all the technical stuff that you had to work out. I was pointing several different lost band members to different dressing rooms, including support bands, making sure that, security was aware of everyone and everyone knew where they were going. It's one of them days where if one person gets lost or doesn't really know what's going on, it can just end in chaos. So I was kind of doing that, kind of babysitting, I guess would be the word. I was doing that. And then you sent me out to get some breakfast.
I did, yeah. So I sorted out all the dressing rooms. Then I went to check on the stage. So all the lighting production arrived at 8 a.m. and all the audio production, all the PA and stuff arrived about 8:30 a.m. I think. So they were all there for like a few hours before we got there. So I went down to check on them and introduced myself to the audio team because I'd only met them via email. So just checking in with them, seeing like how far along they were with the PA setup, and they were doing pretty well for time, to be honest. I think when we got there, the PA was already mostly hung and flying up in the air. It was very good. And all of Ash's lighting trusts were in place on the rigs. So I sent Ash and Elle off to just crack on with getting all the lights sorted.
Yeah, right.
And all the decking and production. And yeah, checked in on the audio team. Everything was great there. They said they'd probably be ready for us to load in within the hour. So I think actually it was about an hour and a half and we loaded in about midday. But yeah, it was great. Checked in on that and then realised that none of us had any breakfast. So I shouted you on the radio. I was like, Lacey, I've got a job for you. Come find me. Sent you for some bacon sandwiches for the boys.
Yeah, which was traumatic in itself. Brixton is one of the best and worst places. It's so eclectic. It's full of everyone from every kind of race, creed, sexuality. It's just full of everyone, which is amazing. I love places like that. I have a real place in my heart for places like that that's full of some of the best and worst people in the world. But when you're trying to find bacon sandwiches when you've been on a bus and you're stressed out about the biggest day in your career, not so fucking fun.
But you did great. You did great.
I managed to, you say I did great. I managed to hook all the meat eaters up. Fuck knows where I would have found anything that was slightly vegetarian around that area.
Yeah, but to be fair, all the veggies and vegans got up and I think they all went to the gym.
I know.
They all went to get food themselves. So lucky them.
Yeah, great for them. I didn't.
We're grinding away. Oh,
Yeah, hustling.
you could have eaten some of the rider. There was some fruit.
Yeah, I think I genuinely think I did. I think at that point, I think I just ate whatever I could whenever I could. Because these days, although I'm not working to the same kind of schedule that you, El, Ash, or whoever else are, where you have your regiments, my day is completely different. I'm looking after other people, or just generally doing runs for other people, which generally means I've got no structure to my day because you never know what's going to happen. Generally, if I have a job, it's because something has either gone wrong or because someone's turned up. So I don't have any structure to my day. So I think I did just I think someone bought a bag of bounties for someone and I just ate them. It was great.
Nice. But yeah, after you got some bacon sandwiches and cracked on, I realised that I couldn't really help out on stage. I didn't know what I was doing with the lights or anything, so let Ash and Elle crack on with that. Let the audio team crack on. I went and set up my little production office because I actually had one this day. I had a separate media room. We had quite a lot of dressing rooms in this venue, actually. We had the main band dressing room, then we had like a warm-up room,
crew room.
We had a worldwide media centre / crew room. So yeah, and then I had my production office downstairs, which I actually used on this day because it was chaotic. So I had my own little office just away from everyone on a separate floor. So I just had my printer set up in there, my laptop. I had like some of the rider stuff in there just to keep away from people opening it too early. Getting excited. And it got to about midday, and we loaded in the trailer, got all the backline in, which was pretty smooth, to be honest. We had 8 to 10 local hands helping us.
Yeah, and
the trailer came in the venue super fast.
Yeah, and they were like the old school stagehands. I'd worked with a couple of them guys on a few festivals when I was a stagehand, and they're the kind of guys that you just load up. There's a load of stagehands about these days that like take one guitar and do a run, and that's so infuriating because you've got so much stuff to carry, whereas these guys just bundle themselves up, and they're the kind of guys that nothing is too much effort. Like when I was asking them to do a few little extra bits at the end for me for merch, they were like, yeah, sure, no problem, and just did it. Like some of the best crew, I think. They were probably the best crew on that tour.
Yeah, definitely, 100%. Because like you said, they'll just get loaded up, so they'll have stuff under their arms, they'll be holding guitars in each hand, and they'll be like, oh, I can probably grab something with my little finger. Anything. They'll wait around and ask for more stuff until they're confident that they are at max capacity, then they'll walk it all in. But obviously they're doing it in a safe way. They're not just loading themselves up crazy, or they'll like get all like wheel cases out and stack it up. So it all went in super fast. Got set up pretty fast as well because we had some extra help this day. So normally Liam has to set up all the guitar stuff on his own, but for these 2 shows, because they were slightly bigger, we had the amazing Mac Fraser. So he was looking after Matthew on guitar as an extra guitar tech. So he set up some of Matt's gear and started doing string changes. So that really helped Liam out for the day. And once the truss was out of the way, Nathan could start setting up the drums on the drum riser. Liam got all his stuff set up. I got my audio tower set up where it was needed. And then, I headed to front house, got my desk all set up, ready to go, sorted out what outputs I needed to give to the system tech. Also, just to mention, even though myself and the supports were touring our own desks, I still advanced that SSE would bring in a console, because I've seen some videos recently with beer just landing on mixing desks and ending the show. So just in case that was going to happen, I got an extra console put in just so we could keep it covered up. And then in case anything happened to my desk or the sport band's desk, we could quickly just swap over to this other desk and get the show running again pretty quick. So got all that set up. And then I was like, can we turn the PA on right now? And he was like, yep, cool. I was like, cool, I'm going to make some noise in this big empty room. And the PA didn't work. So that was fun.
Good.
I don't know if I actually told anyone this, but
No, I didn't know
about 12:30 and I was ready to make some noise and the PA didn't work. So luckily the guys from SC are like all super professional. I think he realised straight away it was wrong. He had a backup there, so he swapped out to the backup. It maybe took him like half an hour.
Mm-hmm.
I think I just left him. I was like, I'll leave you to this. I was like, I'll just leave you to it. I'll come back in 30 minutes. I'm not in a rush at the moment because the stage wasn't fully set up. And I came back and he was just like, this main unit that we brought isn't working. We've got a backup with us, so he's plugged that in and we can get going. And he said that there was another unit on the way as a backup for the show, which was awesome. So then turn on the PA and see what happens, really. Because Brixton is a very funny room. I know a lot of sound engineers say the room sounds totally different when people are in it, but Brixton really is that different. Like
it's massive
when it's
as
empty,
well, right?
you're just firing sound into a cave, basically.
Yeah.
And I did the venue the year before with Death of Anna, and I had a horrible sound check on that show, but I had one of the best shows I've ever done with that band when people were in the room. So I wasn't too scared this time.
Mm-hmm.
I asked the guy from SC, I was like, let me know if you think I'm doing anything weird or wrong for this room, because obviously he knows the room better than me. He's done this room probably hundreds of times. Like, I can't remember the guy's name. I want to say it's called Nick, but he's a great system tech. I've had him a few times at other shows as well. He did the Ali Pali show with us with Architects, and he does main stage Reading, I think.
Right.
So like, he knows his stuff. So I'm never afraid to ask for help if I think they can help me out. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And he said everything was good that I was doing. He was like, it is one of the rooms that when people are in, it will sound completely different. So yeah, we cracked on with sound check. Well, I say sound check, production rehearsal, which we'll talk about in a bit more detail when we get Ash on for this episode. But yeah, we had to run through all the production.
Yeah, we need Ash to enjoy that.
So yeah, that was a fun 2-hour sound check, would you say?
It's something like that, dude. I had to dip out because I had my merch issues, didn't I?
Yeah. I think we started making noise at 1 and then didn't finish till about 4 maybe. So I think maybe we did an hour of just crew doing line check and then like 2 hours with the band doing full rehearsal. Yeah,
that sounds about right.
Yeah, why don't you tell us about you going for some merch? You disappeared halfway through the rehearsal.
Yeah, so merch was, in theory, it turned out to be quite stressful. So leading up to the show, I'd been in touch with Fran, who is the head merchandiser at the Brixton Academy. She sells in-house. Her and her team are fantastic. Fran is one of the best merchandisers, probably I'd go so far as to say as in the world. She is so organized. She's so good. She works for some of the biggest bands, which for me, I was like, shit, I'm in the presence of like OGs. I'm in the presence of good people here. These people, she's been doing it for a long time, and you know, she's one of them names that you hear spoken about. So I've been emailing her beforehand, and she asked if she could. She said she was going to get to the venue for around about 5, with doors being at 6:30. And in my head, I was like, oh, that doesn't really work for me. Like, that's kind of stressful with times. Like, that doesn't leave a lot of time. You know, we've got to get us in. We've got to get Every Time I Die, and we've got to get Vane in as well. So I asked her to come in an hour early so that we could get all of us in and all of us sorted. We had a restock coming in this day. So my restock was meant to arrive at 3 o'clock, and it was my stock for Brixton and for Manchester. So it's going to arrive at 3 o'clock. 4 o'clock, Fran was going to be there. I could split it, we could count in, and then I could leave it with Fran to sell and her team to sell, and I could go and do the production rehearsal with you guys. Yeah. Of course, that's way too perfect. Way too perfect. Of course it doesn't work like that. Pins and Knuckles, our merch company, sent me the dispatch number and the tracking number, and I checked the tracking, and it says arrival at venue at 5:45. And I was just like, no, that's not a thing. And I showed my phone to someone else. I was like, does that say 5:45? They're like, yeah. I was like, Fran's gonna kill me. This is it. Yeah. She's gonna think that I'm a proper fucking amateur. She's gonna kill me. So my first thing was to go and find Every Time I Die and Vane's merchandisers and say to them, I need you ready at 4 o'clock for when Fran comes in, because if we get you done, that gives me more time on the back end instead of us standing around with that dead time.
Makes sense.
To basically get support in first. So Fran turned up at 4 o'clock, and I explained to her, pretty much groveling, that the only things that I had were a few bits of accessories. I also had the exclusive prints for this show. I had them already because they got delivered on time, and the band had spent the day signing them, or spent a few hours signing them, so they were all good to go. And she there was a momentary look at me where I was like, this is it, like I just want to cry. And she was like, right, what are we gonna do? I was like, well, I've got the support acts ready to go, I think, anyway. I've spoke to Every Time I Die, they're ready. And she was like, oh, brilliant, fantastic, not a problem. I was like, and the whole time that this was happening, I couldn't find any of Vane. And then I'm pretty sure their sound guy walked in, and I was like, I'm like sweating at this point. I'm stressing. And I was like, dude, where the fuck is like your merch guy? Like, I don't want to be rude, but where the fuck is he? And he was like, oh, he's at Buckingham Palace. And I was like, oh my God, that's the other side of London. Like, fuck, like, And he's like, well, you look stressed out. What's the matter? So I explained to him, and he literally rings him up and he was like, oh, you need to come back to the venue now. And he did, which was amazing. Like, I cannot thank him enough. Like, I think I took him about 20 fucking beers that night because he was out doing his sightseeing. He didn't have to come back to the venue. There's no rules or like, there's no like regulation thing to say. He had every right to answer the phone and be like, I don't care, I'm the other side of London. So he shoots straight back to the venue. He gets loaded in. And by the time they get sorted, I'm like on the phone to DPD, begging them to bring my merch earlier. And they're like, nah, the route's the route. And I'm like on the phone, like stressing out. And then I get a call, and I just hear this really chirpy voice being like, hey, your DPD delivery's here. And I was like, oh my God, there is a God. It got there like 40 minutes before it was meant to. So I grabbed the nearest person to me, which was a security guard, kicked open the side door, and there was hundreds of fans that saw this happen. So if you saw this happen, I kind of apologize. I kind of don't. I was so stressed out. I just kicked open these fire doors and run out with a security guard, and Fran and all her team come and run out and help me. And we grabbed all the boxes off of the delivery. And I knew in my head what my split was for Brixton and Manchester. So I split it while Fran counted and while her team displayed. And they were set up and ready to go with like half an hour before the show. What was looking like was going to be an absolute headache for me.
Yeah.
Like, thanks to them guys, they turned it around. They smashed it, and they were all lovely. And we had the exclusive T-shirt, which looked amazing, which was another stress that I was worried about. We hadn't actually seen a physical of the exclusive T-shirt, which was the Clash one for this show. And there's always in the back of your mind this idea that the idea is great on the laptop, it looks amazing, but will it look great on a shirt? And luckily, it looked amazing, and we actually sold every single one. Every single one of them shirts sold. Not one member of crew or band has one of them shirts. All 50 of them sold to fans. So yeah, if you got one of them, they're rare as rocking horse shit. So fair play. But yeah, that was the big stress for me that day. And while all of that is happening, my radio is like blowing up in my ear with you guys doing all your production rehearsal.
Yeah, we weren't quiet.
No, but you were sorting all that out. And I was kind of pissed off at the same time about everything too, because I was meant to be helping with production. I was meant to be moving the drum riser. Something, again, we'll talk about with Ash later on. We'll get into that with Ash.
Yeah.
But because of the merch situation, I couldn't help with that, which I was pissed off about, because I was looking forward to being a part of the whole thing. But luckily, by the time I got sorted and onto stage, that whole thing had been sorted. But Elle put me onto the Kabuki instead. So he found another job for me, luckily. And then as soon as we sorted all that out, it was kind of my time to go, and it's just before doors at this point. So just before doors on shows like this for me is a lot of going to get people and a lot of greeting people. And with the show being this big and me not selling merch, I'll be the one that's running out the back with the tour passes to go and give to the people that need to come into the show. Obviously, you're busy doing 1,000,001 things. The band are busy
this day.
Yeah, the band are busy doing whatever they're doing. So my job on this is to kind of run around and talk to Siobhan about whatever she needs, or whoever she needs passes given to, and then run into them from the backstage bar or out to the front to meet people. I actually got to see Chaz this day, which was the fucking best. Chaz sells merch for a bunch of different people, and he also does photography for people like Merkage Dave and the Streets and stuff. And we're so worlds apart, but sometimes we come together. He works mainly in like the rap grime scene, and he's amazing at what he does. He's an amazing merch guy. But every now and then we come together, we work together on the Tesseract tour, and yeah, seeing his face was like a good fucking moment to breathe. And I also saw the guys from Shapes while I was stressing out about something. I'm like stood on the radio, like shouting and stressing out, and the Shapes guys turned up. And it was one of them where it was like so fucking thankful to see mates, because the whole day, it's weird stress. Talking about it now, because like things are coming back to me, but I don't remember the day leading up to the show so much.
Yeah.
Because you just kind of, I don't know about you, but for me, working shows like this and working like festivals that are important and stuff, I kind of go into like this weird like autopilot mode where all I'm thinking about is
get it done.
Yeah, where other people, all I'm thinking about is the job that's been asked of me. Then, be it that you've asked me to I don't know, at a festival, asked me to go and get some waters for stage. That's all I'm thinking about at that point. I'm not thinking about, shit, this is massive, we're doing a main stage, or we're doing Brixton, or we're headlining the second stage or whatever. I'm not thinking about any of that, because if I did, I would just literally stand there and poo my pants.
No, fair. I think while you were doing all that sort of stuff, I was just stressing doing 1,000,001 jobs, because after sound check, I then had to do a security meeting, which was fun. So
They're always fun.
The head security guard wanted a meeting with me, the promoter rep, the venue manager. So we all had to get in one room and go through like all the safety procedures for the show to make sure that all the crowd is safe and everyone on stage is safe, which is always fun. I think one of them was make sure that no one from the band goes in the crowd with a guitar.
Yeah.
It was like, I made a big deal about this one. And then first song into Every Time I Die set, turn around and the guitarist is just in the crowd.
I also had... That guy caught me outside while I was outside smoking, and he was like, hey, what's up? Like, you're with a band and that? And I was like, yeah, like touring crew, and we was talking, and he went, cool, I'm going to let you know now, if your vocalist jumps off any balconies, it's a straight showstop. I've seen the videos from Solofern, and I was like, oh, for fuck's sake.
Yeah, he made a big deal about that with me as well. But obviously the balcony there is way too high to do that on without that would seriously injuring someone. So
yeah, that would be next level insane to jump off of that balcony.
Yeah. So we had the chat. Loz understood. I had no plans of doing that anyway. It was way too high. So yeah, security meeting's always fun. And I get to talk through like what they want to do with crowd surfers and stuff like that, and make sure that they've got enough crew in that front bit to keep the crowd safe, and always double check with them that they have like extra crew that they can call on if they need it, if like crowd surfing gets bad. And
shout out, like while we're talking about it, shout out the security at this show.
Yeah.
Because they smashed it. And a load of the security people at this show seem to really enjoy the music, which obviously makes a huge difference. Like they were like banging their heads.
Yeah, shout out to, is her name Willow?
Yeah,
she was in the Set You Free video advert, but she was one of the security guards in the front row. So if any of you guys were at that show on the front, you'll have seen Willow, who was one of the security guards, and she was singing along to every single word, but facing the crowd, making sure that the crowd is safe. And obviously she knows what the vibe is completely. She's seen the band hundreds of times. So shout out to her for doing that show and keeping everyone safe.
And it was sick because the whole venue, like all of the staff at this venue, knew what the band was about, and they knew what this day meant to us, but they were so on board with it. So like all the security guards, everyone, I can think of 10 festivals off the top of my head that we did last year that the security were just shit at. There was so many times where me and Elle had to jump in the pit. There's been, and we will continue to do that. We always will, because security, like fan safety is so important. But that was such a huge relief that we wasn't constantly looking at the crowd. So shout out the crowd, shout out the security, the crew, and the venue, because they knew our vibe, they knew how much it meant to us, and they just smashed it by looking after everyone involved. And they looked after us too. They were the venue security guy, the venue manager was the most welcoming dude I've ever met. Like he was so great. Sweet. He was, and again, he knew what.
I think he's called Josh, but he was next level great. He came at the end of the show as well and like shook everyone's hand as part of the crew and just said thank you for a great show. Like he didn't have to do that, but
no, of course not.
He's seen thousands of bands go through that legendary venue, and he came around and told us all how good the show was, how good a job everyone did.
That was one of the best parts for me. Like, I've been going to Brixton since I was a kid because I grew up down south. And when you walk through that venue and you look on the walls, there's posters of every massive band ever. Some of the most legendary shows in the world have happened at that venue. When they have amazing, professional crews go through all the time. So for someone like him to turn around and come and shake our hands, and I watched him do the same thing that you just said. I watched him go around and shake everyone's hand and say, oh, well done, lads. Your band smashed it. Your crew smashed it. What a feeling. That will always be a career highlight to me, I think, for sure.
It was like kind of like begging me after the show. It was like, make sure these boys come back to this venue on the next one. Yeah. So hopefully,
well, I'd love to.
Be back, but
let's just do Brixton every day. If we could just do Brixton every day, that'd be amazing.
Imagine how stressed I'd get.
Right. So back to the actual show. It's doors. Doors have just opened.
Security meeting done. I think at this point, I'm still stressing in my production office. I've got all the guest lists to sort through. I've got phone calls every minute. Yeah. I just kept getting like phone calls from different people, like management, label, press, all these different people arriving. Everyone's on different wristbands as well, because we had an after show party that was like limited numbers. So I had to work out who's getting the wristbands for that, who's just getting general access. I had loads of people ringing me up going, oh, I'm on the guest list, but I can't get backstage. I just had to like explain to everyone, like, you don't get backstage. Like that's our area to keep. So having to explain that, obviously, like I can escort people back, like management and stuff, and the label people, so they can come back and say hello to the band and talk through anything they need to. But sorting all that out, sorting all the after party things. Realised that I'd not eaten anything since that bacon sandwich that you got me in the morning. So I think at this point I shouted you on the radio and I was like, Lacey, please, can you just run over the road to Nando's for me? Which you did, you legend.
Did I tell you what happened in Nando? I don't know if I even told you this because the day was so stressful. Enzo was with me and saw this happen. So, like, this is no bullshit. Like, because even when I think about it, it's like, yeah, of course that happened. I went into Nando's to get, like, some food for, I think it was just for crew. And we had to, like, there was a few of us that didn't really eat. So I went and got some Nando's. And I was on the phone to my mum, like, checking in on my mum, see how she's doing. My radio's going fucking nuts because doors are just about to open. So I like turned my radio down, ordered a Nando's, which was stressful because there's like fucking 300 moshers trying to order their food. And I'm on the phone to my mum and like I hang up the phone and I kind of sit and wait for the food. And while I'm sat there, this dude comes and sits next to me and I shit you not, I had no idea who this dude was. And this dude just goes, you're Lacey and you grew up in Thetford. And I was like, what the fuck? Like I was like, yeah, that's right. And I'm thinking in my head, I'm like, shit, should I run? Should I like, what? And he was like, oh yeah, you went to school with my son. And I was like, what? He was like, yeah, you went to school with my son and my daughter was a few years older than you, and points at this girl sat across the room and was like, do you remember her? And I was like, what the fuck? Yeah, like, what's up? Like, his son, Tom, was like, me and him were kind of into like, I want to say proper music. That's such a wanker thing to say, but like compared to everyone else in the school who was into like guitar-based music and stuff, do you know what I mean? And he was listening to like a lot of bands like Muse and Metallica way before anyone else were. And like I was listening to like super indie bands and we kind of met in the middle on like guitar bands. But I have not spoke to that guy in easily 10, 12 years. Easily. And his dad just come over and said that, and I just had the most, like, I was like spinning out. I was like, what the fuck? And then his dad was telling me how much he loves Sleeps, how much his daughter loves Sleeps, how much Tom loves Sleeps, and all of this stuff. And I was like, fuck, that is so surreal. And he was like, yeah, I'm just going to leave you to get on with your day. And then he went, actually, why are you here? And I was like, I work for the band. And he was like, there was this moment of being like, yeah, this is fucking weird. So yeah, shout out the Green family. I don't know if them guys listen, but fucking shout out because you guys are sick. That made my whole day so I remember walking out with a bag of food, Enzo next to me, Enzo being like, are you okay? And me being like, that was the strangest thing, like out of like the things that could have happened to me today, there's more chance of me getting hit by lightning than have dug that one out. Like it was so fucking strange. And what was really cool, actually, I got an email about 2 days after the show from his dad being like, yo, the show was amazing. I really enjoyed it. Like, really cool to see you again. Really cool that you're working with a band. Just wanted to let you know that the show was amazing. The band and the crew did really well. And I was like, fuck yeah, we did. We fucking smashed it. Because we're fucking legends. But yeah, that was so surreal. I think Enzo, we walked back to the venue. Enzo was talking to me the whole way and I had no idea what he said because I'm just thinking in my head like, what the fuck has just happened?
What just happened?
Yeah, that was so surreal. But yeah, that was cool. That was something that rarely ever happens. So
yeah.
And by the time I got to the venue, doors had opened, but I think you were still running around still, right? Because I had to come and find you with your food.
Yeah, I think you left me my Nando's in my production office because I was quickly just jumping in the shower as quick as I could because I'd not had a shower all day.
Right.
And I was like, I've got 20 minutes here where I don't need to do anything. So I had a quick shower while Vane were playing, I believe. I think I caught the end of their set. I came down, grabbed my Nando's. And I didn't even finish my Nando's till after the show. I started eating it. I think I ate like one little piece of chicken, and then I got called into the other room for something. Like Siobhan was like, I need you to do something in here. So rest of my Nando's just went cold. I had that after the show. So yeah, did the entire show just on one little piece of chicken, which is fun. But at least I got a quick shower, got to, feel normal again. And then I got to watch a bit of Every Time I Die, who absolutely smashed it at this show.
Dude, like, they were unbelievable all tour. But this show was just like, the energy for them in the room was unbelievable, man.
Yeah.
Like, what a band. What a fucking band.
Great. I'll take them on tour every day of the week.
Yeah, the sweetest guys as well. And Keith is one of the cleverest people I think I've ever met in music.
Yeah.
Like, dude has an insane knowledge of music, an insane knowledge of art and history and books and stuff. The dude is just insane to be around. But yeah, I would love to be around them guys and tour with them guys way more.
Yeah, they were great. Great bunch of dudes.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, the show at Brixton was next level good. Like, they had Ash doing their lights as well. They'd seen like what he'd been doing for us for the rest of the tour. And they asked if he'd be all right to do the show for them at Brixton, because obviously it was a big show for them as well. They get to play in front of 5,000 people. They had all their like management and label there. And Ash smashed it, looked great. Obviously he'd heard the songs all tour, so it was nice to see some lights flashing in time. If there is some sort of time to their songs, I don't know, it's crazy energy coming off stage. But yeah, they smashed it. And then, while they were playing, this is when I discovered the kabuki. So we'll talk about this a bit more when we get Ash on again. Yeah. She keeps saying. But yeah, at this point, I went to watch from side stage and realized that the kabuki that we had halfway down the stage all of a sudden was blowing into the back of our like drum riser and all the back line. And I don't know whether it was, I don't think it was the wind. At first I thought it was the loading door. I think it was the extreme change in temperature from the venue being empty all day and cold to 5,000 kids jumping around to Every Time I Die. The temperature changing just was making the kabuki move so much. Yeah. And obviously it's just Velcroed on at the top. And if you pull it, it'll come down. And I was just stood there watching it being like, shit, if this falls, that's our entire production revealed. Yeah, and you've ruined. Hours before, the entire show ruined. So I remember I radioed you, I radioed Elle. I was like, we've got a problem. So Elle came down and sorted it out. I don't know what he did. I think you maybe helped him with it. Yeah. So we actually gaffer taped the middle of it to a riser. And gaffer tape solves everything. Yeah, we had two of the local crew lads. They jumped in the middle there. And their job was to pull, and as soon as the kabuki hit, lift up so that they got the gaffer tape off so we could get it off the stage. Again, we'll talk the details through in a bit, but yeah, I had to jump on one corner. So I was like literally hiding behind a curtain, watching the show. And we had a queue. And I think, I want to say it was like, was it 4 or 5 songs till kabuki? It would have been Antisocial, Seen It All, Inspire, Civil, Trophies, Brainwash, Set You Free. So it was song 7. Right. So it was song 7 of the set. And it felt like I'd been crouched on that corner for 7 days. Because behind the Brixton stage are 2 loading doors, one left, one right. And obviously while we are just going on and getting it all sorted, Every Time I Die, getting their gear out to load out. Luckily, we kind of didn't get bothered with people coming in one side of it, but every time that the other side got opened, it just blew the curtain. Yeah. And it was so fucking stressful. I think in the end, Every Time I Die's crew realized what was going on and just waited until our kabuki dropped to load out, which was amazing of them. Yeah. Like, shout out them guys, because they could have just been like, nah, fuck it, we want to get our gear out, and that's that. They waited until our drop. And we managed to get it under control, but fucking hell, there were some scary moments where someone, like, I think one of the security guards opened the door to ask me a question, and I was like, I don't fucking care right now. I literally do not fucking care right now. You could be asking me if it falls. Yeah, you could be asking me if the Queen can come and watch from the side stage. I do not give a fuck right now. Like, if this comes down, that's me fired. But yeah, we got it sorted considerably easy. It was just one of them things. It was like, if this goes wrong, it's very wrong. Do you know what I mean? It's not like there's no quick fix for a kabuki. No. Well, yeah, so that was a problem. Oh, I remember another stress just before showtime as well was the guy who was doing monitors, can't remember his name, from SSE, the audio company, he was looking after the wedges for the band. And he said that he could record the audio for the show for us. So we could have a multi-track of the Brixton show that could be mixed down later. And I remember he was like, yeah, I can do that for you. That's fine. So legend for saying yes. And then he was like, oh, I've not got my laptop charger. So then I had to like look at his laptop, and I remember just looking at it and being like, right, it's a MacBook. It like told me the year. I had to like look at the adapter and like go and find the correct adapter for it. And I think I grabbed Matt's. I grabbed yours, I think, at one bit.
Yeah, I remember you putting the radio call out for like a specific age MacBook, and me being like, what the fuck?
I think Every Time I Die might have been on like their last song as I was trying to sort this out. So I was running around, and I think in the end, Giles, the photographer, I think he had one upstairs. So I grabbed that, gave it to the dude on monitors, and he managed to record the show for us. So
sick.
Yeah, legend for doing that.
I never actually asked you what that call was for. Now I think about it, like.
Yeah, well, I was like, it was a big show. I didn't want to not record it. So I wanted to make sure we had a decent multi-track of it. Because unfortunately, with my mixing desk, I've not got it set up at the moment. I run the Waves plugins through my laptop. So I didn't want to be recording multi-track with the same computer that was running the show. Mm-hmm. I'm sure there is a way to do it, and I will look into it for the future, but I didn't know how to do it right then. So just make sure that I had that multi-track from the monitor desk.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, sorted that out. Then did the lovely trip between stage and front house while we did the changeover. I did that trip about 5 times.
That trip is shit as well.
Yeah, through like 5,000 people. Just excuse me, and then people don't move, and then you just flash them in the face with your torch. You're just like, excuse me, I'm coming through. I'm trying to carry like a laptop under one arm. I've got like 2 gin and tonics in the other hand. I'm just like, move, please. If you don't move, there's no show. I had to do that trip. Yeah, about 5 times. Got all my gear to front of house. We did a quick line check. Everything was great. And then the show started.
Fuck yeah, the show started.
Yeah. I was a bit nervous. I think Ash had a few problems, but again, we'll talk about that with Ash.
Yeah.
But the show started and everything was fine. As soon as I could press play on that Linkin Park song, which was like our intro for the tour, I was in a good place. I was like, this is going to be a great show. Hit play on that. I think me and Ash had a little cuddle at front of house. I'm like, let's do this. CJ was there, the band's manager. Mm-hmm. We did a little cheers with him with a beer, and then the lights went down, the music went off, 5,000 people cheered, and then the rest of it was a bit of a blur.
I have to agree. I'm going to be honest. Yeah. Like, the initial cheer of the crowd was deafening, and then waiting for my cue. I can't really tell you what happened during the show. I was just so aware of like watching everything. Like I think I watched the stage so hard I didn't hear anything, if that makes any sense. Yeah. All a blur up until that kabuki dropped. I was just constantly thinking, well, first of all, was the backdrop going to come down at the start? And it did. And then I was like, is it going to go up at the right time and the next one come down? And then everything went to plan. Then the kabuki dropped and I was just so happy. That was the relief of the show. I was like, right, we're good from here till the end. We're good. And I don't remember. I think it sounded okay. I remember I listened back to, because I record my left and right mix on my desk. Mm-hmm. I've put a few of the videos up on the Instagram page if anyone wants to check them out. Just a few clips of my like left and right mix from the desk. I think it sounds all right. Bit kick and snare heavy, but turn those up. I couldn't hear anything. So the side of the stage, all I could hear was. So that was fun.
Kabuki drop. How was the kabuki drop for you? Is it all smooth on stage? It seemed to go fine from out front.
Yeah, I was happy with it. Everyone around us was happy with it. The stagehands and everyone was watching for the cue, and we was all in communication across a line of being like, right, next song, this song.
Yeah.
And like the cue went perfectly. I mean, yeah, it was great. We got, as soon as that kabuki went down and I was off on the side of the stage, there was a moment where I could breathe then. And then Elle come and joined me after putting the riser in place, and we had a little moment where we was like, we can breathe a little bit more now. And from then on out, it was nice as well because we had an extra guitar tech and a few other people about. I wasn't so much studying the stage as like just making sure if there was anything that I could run on to sort out, which I don't think happened. Oh, I think it happened once. I think there was one mic cable getting caught somewhere that I run on to sort out.
His cable kept getting stuck in one of his monitors. I think by the end of about halfway through the show, I think the monitor guy ran on and just took 2 of his monitors away.
Yeah, that did happen.
He had 4 on the front because I think he was worried that like his in-ears were going to fail or something. So he was like, 4 just to make sure I can hear everything. But he didn't need them. His ears were fine.
Yeah.
And he had a great show besides that monitor problem.
Yeah, and I think other than sorting that out, I don't remember anything other than You Are We starting and hearing Brixton sing You Are We. Like,
Yeah, so loud.
yeah, and I'll be honest, man, I'm a big guy. I'm heavily tattooed. I got fucking tattoos on my face and shit. Hearing You Are We in Brixton that loud brought a tear to my eye. That was unbelievable.
It was a moment.
Yeah. And like, I had goosebumps. And it felt like half of London was singing You Are We at that point, not just Brixton, which was a very, very special moment. I think as soon as that song kicked in, I think a lot of us kind of took that extra breath to be like, fucking hell, it's there.
Yeah.
The show is there. Like, fucking hell.
I'd probably say the atmosphere of this show is like one of the best that I've experienced with Sleeps, definitely.
Yeah, I'd say it's
Like-
one of the best that I've experienced through going to
Yeah,
Brixton.
full
Full stop. Like, to be stood there and watch people going that fucking nuts and seeing that many crowd surfers and to see people genuinely care that much in such a big, prestigious venue was fucking unbelievable. The more I think about it, it's outrageous they even let us in the room, quite frankly. So.
Yeah, shout out to the crowd for being the best crowd.
Yeah,
of any Sleep
absolutely.
show, I think.
If you was at that show, going fucking nuts, shout out, because I don't think, I mean, we can only speak on our behalf. I know the band will never forget that show because that was unbelievable. And if you've seen documentaries and stuff like that, you'll know that. But from our point of view, that was unbelievable, and we will never forget that.
Yeah. Shout out to the band as well. Great show from those guys.
Yeah, I mean, they did
definitely
all
one of
right.
the best. Yeah, I mean, average band really. But yeah, great show, great crowd, and yeah, You Are We is definitely, it meant a lot right there because you could see that it meant a lot to the band, and the crowd knew how much it meant to them.
Yeah,
but yeah, and the show ended.
it did.
I was very relieved.
It did. The show ended. You was relieved. I had a moment to take a breath. In fact, I had the dressing room key for the band, so I had to run up and let him back in the dressing room and have a piss.
Trusted you with that job because I couldn't do it. Because obviously I was behind 5,000 people.
Yeah, of course. So I ran up and unlocked the dressing room, had a piss, and I went outside for a cigarette. And in fact, Siobhan come out with me, and I don't think I really did much other than reel off the next 600 jobs that I had to do.
It was a long loadout. That I was gutted because I missed everything, but I had to get it loaded out.
There was an after show party that none of us attended.
Yeah.
But that's part and parcel of it. I actually got to see another, speaking about it now is even weird, I got to speak to a real old friend of mine that was in a band that I worked with when I very first started in my whole career, which was nuts. I spent like 10 minutes talking to him. He is now in a band that's managed by Gary, who is Every Time I Die's front of house.
Oh, right.
So yeah, there was a really weird connection there. I had like 10 minutes to chat to him, which was cool. And then I had to go and sort out all the merch. And I think while I was doing that, you was doing like 100 jobs as well, right?
Yeah, because I had to organise like the audio team and the lighting team and getting all our backline out the way.
Mm-hmm.
So, like arranging what all the local crew were doing, getting my front of house desk down, clearing the dressing rooms out. So we had like 4 or 5 dressing rooms. And obviously all the stuff has to come out of them before the curfew at 1 a.m.
Yeah, of course.
So I was doing all that. And then I managed to get up to the after show party just as the bar was closing. So I didn't get a drink because I walked in with a gym from the dressing room anyway. But I got to see a few people that were still hanging around. I can't even remember who was there. A few of the Shapes guys were still there. I bumped into Rob from Don Broco.
Shout out Rob. Shout out Don Broco.
Legend.
Them guys made my night. They were fucking hilarious. So
I can't remember who else was there, to be honest. Just lots of family and friends, I think.
Yeah, I think that was it. It was just full of mates. I think I went up for like, I think I had to run something to a friend that was up there. For a friend of the band, I had to go and like take a special. In fact, it may have been a wristband of some description. I had to run up there. So I like stuck my head in and said hi to everyone. And it was just a room full of mates.
Yeah.
Incredibly proud mates as well, which was great. It was a nice feeling. Everyone enjoying the fact that the show had gone off so fucking well. And then I went and counted out about 3 items of merch. So
yeah, with the wristbands as well. Obviously, we had the after show party in the bar upstairs, but we also had a friends and family room backstage that had like 20 to 30 like close family members for the band. So they could kind of chill in there and see those guys and then come up to the friends and management label industry after party.
So many different rooms.
Yeah, it was a maze. Kept getting lost.
Yeah, same. So
yeah, managed to get all the gear out, trailer packed, and both the trucks got packed, got sent on the way, cleared the dressing room out. Realised that I'd missed the presentation of the lovely plaque that I have hanging on my wall. I wanted to be there for that, but I wasn't.
Cheers,
Obviously,
Killy.
I didn't get one.
Well, cheers, Killy. There weren't other people on the tour at all. Don't worry about it. Cheers.
So yeah, I missed the presentation of that, but it's up on my wall now. Looks great. Very proud. I'll get you one next time, Lacey.
I'm going to make my own one.
I'll make you one for next tour. I'll personally make it myself.
I look forward to that.
And then, yeah, that was it. Out the venue for 1:30, I think. And then just had some drinks on the bus, chilled out. Tried to find a bar close by, but everywhere was pretty much shut at this point.
Mm-hmm.
I think I went for one beer with Sarah, the band's press agent.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I just chilled on the bus because there were so many mates around. I just chilled, and I think I just hung out there and smoked about 300 cigarettes and thought about how mental the night was.
Yeah. Went on the bus, and then we left at 3 a.m? Drove to Manchester for a day off.
Yeah.
So,
we went to McDonald's before we left.
Classic. How'd you end the night on tour? With a Big Mac in my bum.
Yeah. Which is such a disappointing end to the biggest show.
Yeah.
I bet people are listening to this being like, you guys are so fucking whack.
Everyone's like, thought you guys are rock stars, partying all night, whiskey and Well, I sat and had a gin and tonic, talked to my mate I've not seen in 5 years, and then I got a Big Mac and went to bed.
Literally, that is literally, I had a non-alcoholic beer, spoke to a mate that I haven't seen in forever, and then went to bed with the biggest fucking smile on my face, knowing that we'd pulled it off.
All right, well, I guess that's it then. Big Mac in the bunk, end of the night. Drove to Manchester.
I want a Big Mac now.
Yeah, same. All right.
Right,
So,
that's cool.
I guess we
That's
end
cool,
it here. And then, let's get Ash in. Let's get his story. And, hopefully he can fill in the blanks that we didn't there.
Yeah, we so anonymously there.
Let's bring Ash on board. Beep, 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 beep. Right. Here we are with Mr. Ashley Neal. How are you, mate?
Hello, how's it going? You all right?
Yeah.
What's going on?
I feel like we should tell everyone why we're all a bit so we're all so sluggish about this.
Okay, we recorded it once before and it didn't work, and we wasted 4 hours of our lives.
Why didn't it work?
Because my laptop crashed mid-recording and glitched everything. So
Because you're still on fucking dial-up.
James Hill at AOL.com.
Oh.
So, for all the listeners, we tried to record this yesterday, day before.
A few days ago, in like 40 degrees of heat.
Yeah, and in each of our offices, we all have a lot of gear, and it's hot. And we spent 4 hours trying to record it, and all James kept doing was glitching and falling out of the conversation, and quite frankly, falling out with me about it. So
nothing like a tangent right off the bat.
We'll start off topic.
Classic, this podcast. Ashley, Brixton, how was it?
What's happening? Brixton. That was a day. It was absolutely fantastic. What a show. Loved it. Yeah. Brilliant.
Sick. Right. You had quite a stressful start to the day though, right?
Oh, yeah. We can talk about that starting if you want.
Start from the very beginning. Explain of why your head was popping in my bunk at 8 a.m.
Well, besides from the fact that we're probably still drunk from last night. No, I'm only joking. We'd only had a couple hours sleep. We were driving overnight from Amsterdam to London, and we had to get a team in. I had to put a team together to begin the loading at 8 a.m. for us, which was great. We've got a great team of guys together to load in at 8 a.m. Unfortunately, we couldn't make it in time because of the long drive. So yeah, at about 8:15, no, it would have been later than that. About 8:30, got a phone call. Probably been to sleep for a few hours since we had to do the ferry crossing. Got a phone call from the promoter's rep telling me that we were having trouble with fitting both the PA and the front truss of lights in, even though all them hours of advancing and all the pre-tour working out, all the drawings,
all the stage plots,
everything that we sent in and worked on. But yeah, so there was an issue with where the motors hang, basically, which meant that we couldn't fit all of the PA in that James had spec'd and the lights. It had to be one or the other.
It was just the way they were going to hang my PA.
Yeah.
Who won that fight?
Well, we worked out an agreement, didn't we? Me and Ash don't fight.
No, we don't fight. We just love here. Just love in this camp.
That's not true. You guys were like on the street, like it was like Street Fighter. You guys were like, and all of us guys had, we actually all had a bet on who would win.
Speakers versus lights. Who will win?
Speakers versus lights.
So yeah, had to go and wake James up. Obviously, that's a decision that I couldn't just make for myself. And that's where James comes in.
Yeah, it was a great little wake-up call. After about, a 3-hour, 4-hour nap, Ash pops his head into my bunk, goes, we need to wake up, there's a problem. So, classic, obviously. I'm like, yep, cool, right. Look at my phone, I've got like 4 missed calls from the promoter's rep as well. And then me and Ash have a lovely business meeting in the bottom lounge of the bus, in our pants.
Oh, yeah.
8:30. Probably like driving down the M25.
We decided we definitely needed a coffee for this moment.
Yeah, kettle on.
Coffee in our pants.
Sit down in our pants, waving at people going to work. It's a great time.
Anyway, got that sorted out. The guys over there on site all worked out a plan. The lighting guys and the audio guys got together, figured it out after we told them what the ideal scenario would be. And yeah, awesome. Got it sorted. And then we arrived at about just after 10 o'clock, I think, maybe.
Yeah, I think it's about
What do you reckon?
10:30.
Yeah.
Which was great because I think we were supposed to arrive at like 11:30, I think was my estimate. So
yeah,
getting there that bit earlier really helped out.
So we got there in good time. When we arrived, the trusses were hanging, lighting trusses were hanging with some lights on them, just being cabled up, more or less ready to send up into the sky. We just had to get all the backdrops tied because we had multiple different backdrops on this show. We had a few different albums, which we were going to use at different times in the set. So we got all those tied up onto different bars at different parts of the stage. And yeah, that was pretty much it then. Ready to load in the rest of the stuff, I think.
Yeah, backline came in maybe an hour later.
Yeah.
So I think you just came in, dived straight into your lighting team, helped them get those trusses in the air and out the way.
Yeah, more or less ran into the building, dropped my bag down. I think Lacey ran off as a hero to find the lads some food.
I did, which was a fucking pain in the ass in itself.
Tell us about that.
I can't think I'd assume it was Elliot or someone come up with the idea of me going to get breakfast for the lads because...
Oh, it was definitely me. Give me credit.
Was it?
Yeah.
Was it?
Yeah. 100%. Lacey, can you go get some bacon sarnies for the boys? There you go.
Someone sent me to get bacon sandwiches, but basically because my job doesn't technically start until a little bit later on at these kind of shows because I was counting in with someone that was selling. So I went to find bacon sandwiches for the boys, which apparently James sent me, but
100%.
You did send me. When I actually think about it, I just like to wind you up. James sent me to get bacon sandwiches, which if you've ever hung out around the Brixton Academy area is not an easy thing to do. I walked around a whole bunch, didn't find anywhere, and then I found this weird place that was kind of behind the Brixton Academy. And I went in and there was a guy in the corner kind of just rapping to himself about roses on your face. And I was like, that's a fucking strange thing to say. And then I caught a glimpse of myself in the mirror and I was like, I've got a fucking rose tattooed on my face. What is he saying? Because he's talking about me.
He was in love with you.
Maybe it was a very strange gaff. There was another guy in the corner that was just kind of talking to the TV, but the TV wasn't on. So that was weird. So yeah, I hope you guys all enjoyed your bacon sandwiches.
No.
But I got you breakfast.
It was great.
Big props to you for that. And you got all the guys in some food. It was a tough day because obviously a lot of them guys had been there a bit longer than us as well, a few hours longer than us. And I know my guys looking after the lights had travelled from Birmingham as well, so they got a few hours on them before that as well. So when someone arrives with some food and a few coffees, everyone's in love. So yeah, you smashed that, dude. It's important.
I did forget one of your guys though, and I don't think he certainly didn't let me forget it for the rest of the day.
Who was that? Who did you forget?
I forgot PK.
I bet he loved you for that.
After working with PK for a few years, I love him dearly. I know that Ash loves him dearly. In fact, I've been over there for Christmas dinner. I've been at PK's, which was amazing. However, forgetting his breakfast that morning, I don't know if we'll ever recover from it, man. Like, he swore at me a lot. he was not happy.
Bless him.
Legend though. Shout out PK. Shout out PK. Shout out the Birmingham lot, because they all smashed it.
Yeah,
absolutely. Got it in. Good lads. So what was next then? What do we? Oh yeah, so we got all the staging.
How long do you reckon it took you to get everything together and up in the air, fly in?
Well, obviously because all the trusses were more or less ready to rock and roll, it was probably about another half an hour of work done on them. We sent them out, got the drapes hung. We had to get the kabuki solenoids all hung on a separate bar, which we'll come back to that conversation in a bit, because I know Lacey's got lots to talk about there. Got them hung, sent those bars out, sent the trusses out, and next was get the stage built, all the decks, and get all the floor lighting out. I think by the time we built the stage, we got the drum riser built, and we had a bit of work there because the drum riser is obviously rolling for this show, so we had 2 drum positions.
Yeah, that's right.
Rather than have 2 drum kits set up, we went for having 1 riser that would roll. So this one was on wheels. So we got all that set, built up, and then as we were laying out floor lights, backline was then setting up as well. So it's probably about another hour and a half to get to that point where all the staging was out, lights were coming out, backline was coming out, I'd say.
Yeah, what do you reckon about
probably about midday?
Yeah.
Around about that time, we got to a point where most things were laid out, I think, on stage.
And then what about you setting up your lighting desk at front of house? Talk us through what you're doing there, then how you're like sorting your file out to make sense for the bigger show than you've been used to.
What was great about this show for me was obviously I had a bigger team on it with me, so I could leave them guys to worry about lights on stage end and cabling up and all the looms and stuff like that, which mostly were all pre-made anyway. But show-wise for me, show file-wise on the console, once I got out there, got set up, it was actually a bit less to do in a way for me, because when I program the show, we talked about this last time on the last episode I was on with you. When I program the show, I use a visualizer, and in that visualizer, I built the Brixton stage. All the dimensions were exactly the same, and of course, the lighting trusses were hung in the visualizer where they were supposed to be hung on the stage, perfectly to the meter. So,
to the
programming, I'm not going to say to the millimeter, but you know, 8 meters off the floor, and so it was my positions and things that I have to update per show were all actually already pretty bang on. There was very minimal extra work I had to do to the show file for this show, which was amazing. Really handy, because obviously there was a lot of extra lighting in there that was programmed already, but we hadn't used yet on any of the other shows. So I had to then double check all of that programming. So the fact that everything was already right was fantastic for me, but I just had to double check it, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it just meant the day went quicker, and it also gave me a bit more time on the console because I was also looking after every time I die this day. So that really helped me because I needed to get a bit of programming in for them guys as well.
Yeah. So when you're doing that testing, do you go through like every single song to make sure that everything's working?
Usually I just, I won't do every single song in real time. So I won't sit there and like play the entire song and
you just do the different cues
in real time. I'll just check that all the cues are correct. And generally, as we talked about before, when I use cue lists, I use like long cue lists with anywhere up to 100 cues in. As long as the first few, everything's looking right, generally then everything else in that list will be correct, if that makes sense. So I can but I do check every cue list in every song. So I at least check the starting point of everything, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So
then I guess at this point, we ready for the band for sound check?
Yeah.
/ production rehearsal, because
this is the thing. We had a lot to do this day, didn't we? So usually we talked a bit about this again previously, but usually you would do production rehearsals before a tour for your full production. But of course, because it was we started out in Europe and we went straight into the Brixton show. There was no rehearsal for the bigger show, just for the smaller show, wasn't there? So
yeah.
So things like the backdrops coming in and out. So a little bit of background there. We started out with the So What backdrop, didn't we? With the the graffiti backdrop at the front. So mid-stage, we had a very large black, what we call kabuki. It's a big black silk and it hides everything behind it. So it's about halfway down the stage. So when the show started, it looks like, this is what the stage looks like. Big black sheet and the graffiti backdrop came in for the start of the first song. And then they played about, what was it, 5 songs?
No, it's like
4?
3 or 4.
Okay.
Yeah, 4 songs. 4 songs in front of that one.
Yeah, and then that one came out. And when I say came out, that one went up into a space above the stage. So above the stage, behind the archway, there's like a massive space where you can lose like theatre backdrop style things. So we lost the first drape up there, and then the second one came down from up there, and that was the red brainwashed one.
Yeah.
Big red, which the crowd absolutely loved when that started coming down. Sirens running.
Yeah, because that was the first bit of production. So
yeah, it was the first like noticeable, something's changed and something's happening. They were going crazy for it. And then they played a couple songs from Brainwashed in front of that, all red. And then after that went out, it went back up into the air, that backdrop did. And then we went to Set You Free, where, what is it, about a minute in? Probably not even that, is it?
Yeah, around 45 seconds maybe.
Yeah, into the song, the full band kicks in, drum kit and everything, and then we drop the kabuki to reveal the full stage.
Yeah.
So all of this wasn't done on any of the shows in Europe. This didn't happen, so we had to rehearse this in the day a couple times. Especially seeing as when I talk about these backdrops coming in and going out, they're not motorized. This is a man pulling on a rope to make these go up and down. And this man that is pulling on that rope has not done this before and doesn't know the songs and doesn't know the time. So we had to rehearse this.
Yeah, like two or three times.
Yeah, to make sure it was right. It was a bit nerve-wracking.
Yeah, shall we go over the mistakes that were made during the production rehearsal? Let's start with that kabuki. So once the first
kabuki,
one was fine, wasn't it? The So What to the red brainwashed, flawless. Yeah. Nailed that one. Next,
fantastic.
Kabuki drop. Talk to me, Ash.
Kabuki drop. So there's always a bit of a worry with a kabuki because the way they work is it hangs on hooks up in the truss, and they're little magnets, and the magnets, electromagnets, receive a charge, and they let go basically, and they drop open, and the hook drops the kabuki to the floor.
It's kind of like a crab claw on it in a weird way. If you imagine a crab claw holding a hoop, it's like the crab claw opens and it drops down.
Yeah, just swings that open and drops down. And quite often, if you've been to a lot of shows in your time and you've seen these things before, there's a good chance you've seen one go wrong as well.
Oh yeah.
And quite often, sometimes they just get stuck on one of the hooks, and it could be in the middle of the stage, it could be off to one side of the stage. And when this happens, it just means that the sheet is the kabuki is just hanging there at one point. Yeah. It looks mental. So you need.
I've been a part of that.
Tell us about that.
So when I was living in Birmingham with you, I was a stagehand, and I was a guy that basically would be on stage to help out the touring crew. I can't remember what band it was. It was a big band because it was at the Gentin.
Yeah.
And there's touring crew on each corner, and then there's 3 of us. So there's one in the middle, and then there's me on the left of him, and there was someone else on the right. And all we got told beforehand was wait for the cue, listen for the cue, and get the kabuki down. So we had to catch it in our arms because it's such a fine material. It will drop down into your arms. And as soon as it's finished, it's down past your face. Get the fuck off the stage.
Yeah.
So, which is fair because the band are about to start, and the band are like behind us on stage, ready to go, waiting for this drop. So we don't know the cue at this point, and we wasn't told the cue at any point. All we was told was wait for the lights to come up, which was shit because we stood there with his kabuki just being like, when the fuck is the drop? Like, I don't fucking know this song. Like, what the hell? You just assume that all of the stagehands know this band. What the fuck? And so I had a touring crew next to me, and big light went up, the big reveal happened, and mine dropped, his dropped, the two on the far side dropped, but the middle didn't. And all the touring crew was shouting at me was pulling.
Pull it down, pull it. Yeah.
So we're like, I'm trying to like relay this information, and this guy that I was working with at the time just stood there. So we all had to like scramble and pull it. The band had started. I got off stage and I was like, never again. Never again.
No.
Like, they were like shouting at us, and I was like, if you'd have told us the cue at any point in this whole conversation, we would have been able to help you out a lot more.
Yeah.
So because of that exact scenario that you've endured, they make the ties on the kabukis with Velcro, so that if they get stuck on the hook, you can pull it apart, so you can get it down so it's not stuck there very embarrassingly for too long. But of course, also that can be a pain in the ass sometimes because it's made of Velcro. When we put the kabuki on for the first test, we used maybe half the amount that we should have of ties, of hooks, if you remember.
I remember.
And as it started going out and got to about halfway up, the whole thing just fell back down again.
Classic.
Yeah, so we just had to reset it, use some more, send it back out again. And this time it worked. But little backstory about the kabuki. I know I've talked about these with Sleeps before in the past, over the past few years that I've worked for them. And I know that they're very uncomfortable with them at times. Yeah. And I think there's a backstory where at some point way back in their career, one like landed on Sav while it was playing a song, something like that. Yeah. So yeah, they're always a bit risky. It's always a bit worrying. But I did the maths. I worked out how far away he was. You know, I knew that it was going to be fine. So we were all good. So we got that tested. Kabuki comes down, and in the show, the way the show flow works is the kabuki comes down, and then Sav's drum riser rolls backwards into its permanent position for the rest of the show. And as you know, were you there? You were there on the show, weren't you, Lacey, to do this? Is that right?
Yeah. So there was, while you guys were doing pre-production, my merch turned up late, which I spoke about earlier in the podcast. And so my merch turns up late. So during the sound check, I was meant to be on hand to help learn my position and how to like move the drum riser at what time and stuff. But unfortunately, with my merch being late, I had to dip out. So I ended up getting I actually got put onto the kabuki. I had to sit in one corner and hold the kabuki. There was 2 stagehands in the middle.
Out of the way.
So I had to get it.
Lacey, the kabuki king.
So kabuki comes down, and the drum riser is then wheeled back into its permanent position for the rest of the show, which is like tucked into a nice little alcove in the risers at the back of the stage, if you remember. And so they start this movement in the rehearsal, and of course there's got to be a problem somewhere, hasn't there? One of the wheels, so they've all got brakes on, and the job of the people rolling the riser is to take the brake off the wheel and then start rolling it. But one of the brakes was broken and jammed on. So the drum riser kind of just span around, kind of just turned instead of rolled backwards. Yeah, so that was a panic for a while, and of course then put the band on edge, which is totally understandable, but also, not what we want. Luckily, it was only one, and we had some spares. I think we managed to get it replaced, and there was no problems from there on out with any of that stuff. So it was obviously just a little bit of a worry for Sav, because he might be stuck in the middle of the stage with a load of roadies standing around him mid-song with 5,000 people.
Scratching their head.
And this is why we do rehearsals.
Yeah, so luckily we had a bit of time to get through these rehearsals. We were still tight on time because obviously we didn't want to screw over any of the other bands every time I dialed Bane. We wanted to make sure they had time to sound check and stuff as well, didn't we? So had to
shout out them guys for being patient on this day as well, especially with all of us running around. They were just kind of like left us to it. So shout out all them guys.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, thank you guys. But yeah, no. we got to do what you got to do. We got the rehearsals done. Everything worked in the end. And we were confident, I think. All good, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I spent a few hours programming after that. Just, like I said, checking over stuff, making sure that we're all good to rock and roll, and putting in a few things for Every Time I Die show. And that's pretty much it up until Doors, I think, for me.
Yeah. So take us from there then. What did you do? Doors open.
Okay, so Doors open.
What's going through your head at this point?
First thing I'm thinking is, shit, I need to eat something because I've had a bacon sandwich many hours ago. See of Lacey, but that was it. And I think once again, Lacey saved the day, didn't he?
He did.
Yeah, I think so.
Lacey came in on his noble steed with Nando's for all the boys.
I did.
Yeah.
Legend.
I did a Nando's run after Doors, and my favorite thing about it was the woman behind the till complaining. She was like, "Oh, there's so many people in here. It's always so busy on gig day, just complaining about all these dirty moshers." And I was like, "Yeah, it's kind of my friend's fault. Sorry about that."
Oh, man. But yeah, no, Lacey, you once again saved the day, got us a Nando's in. I had after Doors, what do we have? Probably about an hour and a half till I had to be sort of ready for Every Time I Die.
Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds about right.
So I got a shower in, had my Nando's, and 100% went and got a beer.
Yeah.
That does sound like you.
100% went and got a beer. While Vane were on, I went up to the bar at the back with the little windows upstairs. Hung out up there for a bit, grabbed myself a beer, had a good catch up with the rest of the lighting crew. We just went over a bunch of things for the show. I was up there with PK and Alan, good lads, looking after me all day. Shaggy, who was also on the job with me. I think he was driving the truck, so he was long gone for to get his sleep hours in by this point.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that was pretty much it until Every Time I Die started. Then we had some extra lights out for them on stage, so I was expecting a really stressful changeover into our set, but actually it was up until the very end of it and the start of the show. It was smooth as anything. Absolutely loved it. Great team on stage. We got all the lights off. We got everything changed over. It was beautiful. And then I hit my only snag of the entire day. my only one thing that if I say what it is now, you're going to be like, well, why is that such a big deal? But this could have ruined all the months of preparation for this entire tour for me. This one thing, just this one item. Yeah, I had a couple of hazers on stage, one either side. So you know about it.
Yeah, I do. I remember this.
I had a couple of hazers on stage, one either side, so we could get a nice even spread of haze across the stage. And the reason we use haze is, it gives the show a bit more atmosphere, but mainly because it picks out the beams of the lights. So all those stage lights that are up there pointing down, it picks out the beams to give it the impact, the heavy look, basically. And it's nice to have that smooth and even, if you can, across the stage, so it's not like clunky in one place or like
so all the beams
whatever.
Look even rather than like...
Yeah, exactly. You don't want it all looking crazy on like stage left and then stage right. It's just like, but you can barely see any of the beams. It just looks like little stars twinkling or something, you know. And just as the show was about to start, one of the hazers completely just shit the bed.
Just went home bad.
He just thought, I've had enough for today. That's it.
I've put in my 9 hours. I've had enough. I'm clocking out, but
I was, that was a moment for me. And maybe it doesn't sound that bad because I did have the other one, but no, for me, this was like the be all and end all. This was like 3 months of prep for this tour ruined in one moment. So yeah, I turned into quite a diva out there at front of the house.
Love it. My favourite thing. Love it.
Ash the diva. Usually I
love it. I love it when it's over. I don't love it in that moment because it is fucking horrible.
It's pretty brutal. Obviously, it's no one's fault. There's nothing we could do about it. We needed to get a spare out there as fast as we could. So I'm on the radio. I'm on comms. I'm on my phone. I'm like communicating with everyone over there at the stage. And thank you so much to the guys, PK, Alan. Alan had, bless him, he was sat there on the floor with a hazer in pieces, screws out in little plastic cups next to him on the floor, just like getting through it, trying to find the problem, trying to get it sorted, while PK's on a march trying to source a spare for us from the venue, also having conversations with management about, well, is there anything we can do about reducing the air cons at any point so we can try and get a bit more haze in, and then we'll kick it back in, and just, you know, all these options that we could explore. He was out there exploring them and just getting shit done for me while I was lighting the start of the show.
Legend.
So I cannot thank them guys enough for all their hard work. And yeah, the day was saved. They got a spare up there. It was actually a smoke machine, which means it was much thicker than a hazer. And then I'm pretty sure classic ET and PK went and got Rob Sav's fan off his ride and got the fan on the smoke machine, and then we were good to go. That was the only thing in the whole day that was really bad for me, and it could have been really bad, but the guys got it sorted, and it was the show was absolutely fucking incredible. I was buzzing.
Yeah, it was a great show. So besides that, how was the show for you? Everything go as you wanted it to?
Amazing, mate. Everything was great. Absolutely everything. I've got zero complaints. I had a few drinks. I got to look at your beautiful smiling face.
Always.
Fucking hell.
Makes anyone day's fun, you know.
I had loads of friends there at front of the house, if you remember. We had all the Dodie, well, not all the Dodie, but a lot of the Dodie band gang there.
Yeah, shout out the Dodie band.
We had PK. I've already said about PK.
He's on stage.
We had Pete, we had Ross, and I had my best mate Jamie there.
Fuck yeah.
It was like good times. It was good times. I know you love a bit of Jamie Lacey.
Oh, dude, when you come down the corridor and you was like, I've got a surprise for you. And turned around and Jamie was there. I was like, just not even stressed anymore. Like, this is great.
Yeah, all the stress immediately leaves and you're like, happy. Yeah. Well,
there was a few mates there.
Yeah. No, it was great. Great front of house gang. That's why James brought like the entirety of the rider to front of house.
Yeah, I had a separate rider because I knew in my office I had a separate rider, a crate of beer, a bottle of gin. I knew there was going to be a front of house party, bro.
This is mental to me. Like this whole concept, I've learned so much from this podcast about stuff that I didn't know, and it's got fuck all to do with learning about tech. It's got to do with learning about the fact that James has a bar at front of house, while I can't even get a fucking bottle of water. Mental.
Next tour, I'll get you a full fridge full of water, and you can load it into your merch area every day.
Yeah,
and then you'll complain about that, won't you? Well, I've got to load my water in.
I won't.
Oh. Anyway, so Ash, you had a great show. Last song finishes, lights down, house lights on. What's going through your head at this point?
Yeah, go for a wee, get another drink.
Because obviously our job's not over at this point. We've still got a few more hours left.
Yeah, we had obviously we had to get it out. Now the great thing was we had a good team of lighting guys on us. We had a good bunch of local crew as well, jumping on the out. And I think it was pretty much just get to stage, get it out. Get it on a box with wheels. Get it out of here.
Put it in the truck, send it home.
Yeah.
Fuck it off.
Get it the fuck out. Yeah, pretty much. I did pop out of the loadout. I'm not going to lie. a couple of times. Not for too long, but I did pop out and go and say hello to a few mates up in the bar. And then I popped back down and cracked on. Got it done. Got that truck loaded. Ready for Manchester.
Again. How the other half live.
Send it on its way.
Got it done. Just send it, yeah.
Cool. So what was your favourite part of the show, do you reckon?
I think I'd like to say I think the best part of the show for me, honestly, was looking over at you, James, and seeing that big old smile on your face.
As soon as that kabuki dropped.
Yeah.
Best moment of the day, that.
As soon as that kabuki dropped and Sav was rolled back into his place and there was no more animation, we can call it, for the show. It was just plain sailing from there on out. I looked over at you and the smile on your face.
Couple of gins.
Unforgettable. And I guess the only other moment for me as well was there's this one moment in the guilty party where I just looked out and this sea of people are just jumping up and down, all in the moment, just so much energy in the room. It was so big, and I don't think I'll ever forget that.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah, that's sick.
It was, incredible show. Absolutely incredible.
Yeah.
Loved it.
There's that great picture of me and you, Ash, just both of us with our arms in the air.
Oh,
So
yeah.
I'll put that
It's one of my
up with this.
favourites.
It's a great picture. Whoever took that.
Shout out to that person.
That dude. Getting that moment. Me and you going, yes, it worked.
So good. It worked. We did it. Yeah.
Cool. Well, I guess that's it for this, for you.
It might be.
That's your day.
Right, everyone say bye.
Oh, here he is.
I
See,
love
I
it.
knew it was coming because you did it when we did the last one. It all fucked up.
But if I didn't do it this time, you wouldn't have put it in.
True.
Yeah.
Right, everyone say bye.
Right. Bye.
So,
Bye.
see ya. Nice one, lads. Legends.
Bye. Yes, episode 8, Brixton, part 1, done. If you're still listening, thank you. I know this is a really long episode, so cheers for sticking around to the end. Here's my normal spiel of make sure you go subscribe, follow, like, share everything on wherever you're listening to this podcast. Go check out the Instagram page, share everything from there. And I'm going to tell you now to go to the YouTube page, search Walsh Techs, or there's a link in the bio on the Instagram. I'm going to post something special on there this week, so go and click that subscribe button on there if you're not already listening to this podcast there. And yeah, in the next couple of days, if you're listening to this on the day that I put it up, then there will be something special coming to that page. So keep an eye out for that. Make sure you hit subscribe. And yeah, hopefully I can get part 2 up on time next week for you guys. I think when we first started this podcast, I had nothing to do. And with everyone being unemployed, I just thought it'd be easy enough to organise getting people to do Zoom calls and stuff. But as the ever-impending doom of unemployment is over everyone's shoulders, we've all been trying to side hustle a little bit. So we've all been busy on other little projects in the background. It's been quite hard to lock people down and get these episodes done. So yeah, and yeah, if you guys want to help out while we're unemployed, link in bio for that little donate button for the podcast. But also the little side hustles we have been doing, I'll leave links in the Spotify and Apple episode description notes. But yeah, I've restarted a Etsy store that I used to run a couple of years ago, just making some art prints and greetings cards and stuff. So if you like Harry Potter or Taylor Swift, go check those out. The store's called Autumn Prints. But yeah, I'll leave a link. And Lacey, his little side hustle, because he loves selling t-shirts so much, he's selling t-shirts online. How crazy is that? He just loves it. He can't stand to see someone not wearing a t-shirt, so he just sells all the time. But yeah, go check out his little side hustle. It's called 88th Minute. He launched his web store the other day via his Instagram. So yeah, go check out the Instagram for 88th Minute. And I'll leave a link to it in the description of the podcast notes. So yeah, check out those 2 things if you want to help support me or Lacey in this crap time of no work. But yeah, hopefully see you next week and peace.